Hi friends, it's Becky, and it is time to open up the Wild Mushroom Softflex Design Kit. This is the kit that I'm going to be working from through most of September. It is not a subscription. They release a new kit every month, and sometimes they have extra kits that they do, but the bead kit usually contains some Softflex wire, some crimps, some findings, and then some beads and things that are curated to a theme, that go together, that tell a story. And so this is the one that we're going to be working with for this. So I'm really excited to open it up. You can find the kits that they have for offer available at softflex.com. I'll put a link in the description below if you would like to check them out. Usually, if the actual kit itself is sold out, they may also have available for purchase some of the bead mixes that were included in here, because they may have extras of those. Sometimes there'll be extras of some of the charms or some of the other bits and things, like if there's little ceramic beads, that might also be available for sale. So if this kit is sold out when you see it, go ahead and check out the website anyway, see if you can find the bead mix, if that's still available. I'm also going to be opening up and sorting into my organizer this Jesse James Beads bead strand. This is the Wild Mushroom bead strand. It was designed to go with this. It is sold separately, so it's not part of the kit. I like that it is sold separately because that makes it so that the actual kit is maybe a little more affordable, and then you can add on if that's within your budget to be able to have that extra bit with it. So let's take a look at it. And this is actually a pretty good value for money for the kit, because it's not just beads and findings. You also have materials that you can use to create with, and because it comes with beading wire and crimps and some findings, you can start making things with it right away. So if you're new to beading, it is a fantastic way to start beading and to start getting used to creating things with it. I really love that. And here's the kit itself in all of its glory. Let's pull that open. This is my favorite beading wire, the Softflex medium beading wire. And this is a beautiful color. I know you're going to look at it and be like, brown, Becky, but look at that, like, glorious light, sort of quinacridone gold kind of a brown that you get. It's the Butterscotch Imperial Topaz. It is a great sort of color to use maybe if you're doing some antique copper or something. I know they do have an antique copper wire, colored wire, but sometimes this one's a little bit brighter. It's a little bit lighter and it's not as dark. It is a really good color, especially for these warm tones, these earth tones, the browns that we're getting in this very fall flavored design kit. Sometimes there are items in these kits that can be a challenge, which is great because then it makes it so that it is really fun for experienced designers to design with as well. So the color that we've got our findings here, it looks like it is copper, and these are bright copper. So we've got some ear wires and lobster clasps in here. I'm just going to get these guys out and put them in my organizer. I like to sort my bead boxes that I get every month in my 15 grit organizer, because then I can see everything all at once instead of keeping it in the bag it came in or something like that. And it just makes it so much easier for me to get ideas and to design with when we do that. So we've got that copper color. Our crimp color is the copper crimp. One thing about the crimp, the copper ones, is that their walls are a bit thicker than the silver ones. And that can make sometimes putting like 3 strands of something through it a little tricky, but they are really great crimps and they round out really beautifully when you use a magical crimper with it. That's my favorite crimping style. I'll show that to you later when I do a design with this, because I am going to do a little on-the-fly design with this kit. And I'm starting to get ideas already. I'm going to open up this bead mix initially. We've got some bead strands, this bead mix, and then another mix from Jesse James Beads. So I'm just going to pull this out. We've got some brown bamboo beads. These are fantastic and lightweight. They will absolutely. It's a nice dark brown color. That's going to be a fantastic accent. with some of these warmer, more orangey tones. Speaking of orangey tones, it looks like we've got 3 matte finish and 2 golden. This is like the color of amber for these like nugget beads, these nuggety shapes. Love those. And these are basically butterscotch candies. That is exactly what these look like. They've got that opal glass and just one of these fun sort of rounded facet shapes, sort of nuggety as well. It's like we've got some English cut check glass beads as well in this amethyst color. And I'm just putting these in the organizer so they're out of the way. And then we've got a teeny tiny mushroom. And I did see on the Softflex website, they do have extras of these available for purchase individually. So if you cannot get enough of that little ceramic mushroom, they have more. Let's also pull out these bits. These are, it looks like pewtery. This one is antique silver color. It is an owl. I don't know the metals on this one, so I cannot say whether or not this is nickel free. I did get a nickel testing kit though, so I might go use it and test this out and let y'all know when I find out whether or not this is something that is nickel free and would be safe for folks with nickel allergies to use or not. But yeah, we got a nickel testing kit so I can test this out. But then this is going to be nickel free because it is a Green Girl Studios little toggle, and it's a little mushroom toggle, and they always use pewter for their toggles, and they use a nickel free pewter mix on that. All right, and then we've got these really cool like they look like seeds for like trees or something that you might find in the forest, but they are some glass beads with little table cut windows on them, and this pretty, like, is it a Picasso finish or a travertine finish? I'm not sure. Yes, that's it. Rust brown travertine. It's right here. Tri-cut oval beads. So that's these guys here. Let's shift this so you can maybe see what some of those look like. All right. And then we've got some ceramic beads. These are large hole ceramic beads in this beautiful chocolatey brown color. These look like milk duds. No, not milk duds. They look like Whoppers, you know, the chocolate candy Whoppers. That's what they look like to me, which are one of my favorite things as far as like movie candies is Whoppers. I always loved grabbing a box of those when I would go to a movie theater. And that's what they make me think of. Don't eat the beads, guys. Do not eat the beads. Just do not do that. So that's it so far. Let's open up the bead strand and the bead mix from Jesse James Beads. There's usually some tape on the sides. Let me get that taken care of. That keeps it from coming open while it's shipping, so it keeps the beads protected. But it is something to keep in mind. So if you go to open it and it doesn't open, remove the tape and then you can get in there. And I'm just cutting it with my thing off camera because it's a little bit easier for me to do it safely if it's closer to my hands than if I do it on camera where I'm holding things a little bit further away from myself. There you go. Now I've got that open. Ooh, we've got some more ceramic beads. Let's take a look at these. These are like Melanie ceramic beads. Love, love, love ceramic beads. It's one of my favorite types. So let's get those over there. And then these two, like wavy faceted coin beads. They've got that faceting that goes diagonally through them. And they are, again, that ambery color. Then these are acrylic beads. And they are, or they might be resin actually, these roses. They've got a little hole going through them. I've used larger versions of these resin rose beads as closures instead of a button on some things. So that's pretty fun, but these I think I'm going to be using just in one of my designs. I love this muted, like light rosy color. It's a really pretty, not quite red, not quite pink, sort of a muted coral color. Then we've got a couple of these like lavendery silk color square beads with some faceting on them. Just had a bead try to escape. I'll probably find it later. So there may be one more bead that than what I've got on here. But yeah, then we've got these really light purple, pinky purple barrel beads. They're really pretty. I love that. And these light, like lavendery pink. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay, so I bet that it was one of those that was trying to make a break for it and rolled itself right off my mat. And I'll find it later, but look at these sparkly stardust beads. They're very lightweight. I believe they are polymer clay. They are really sweet little colors on there. Then we've got a couple of dark brown root beer colored crystal drops. I don't know if you can see the light through that. And then some bicones. We've got these dark brown bicone beads, and then these like gold colored bicones that are just a little bit larger. Here, let's put these brown ones over there. Keep these gold guys over here. And some yellowy, they're like kind of a mustard yellow, but then they've got this luster finish on them. Rondelles. Let's stick those over there with the amber beads. And then our findings here. There are some trumpet bead caps. They're trumpet shaped anyway. I don't know if that's actually what they're called, but let's turn a couple of them up and then you can see these ones. It's like an antique gold color on that. We've got some disc spacers in bright gold. We've got some metal beads. Actually, no, these are not metal. These are lava beads, but they have, you can see, those are lava beads with a gold coating on them. And then we've got some actual daisies, daisy spacers, these flower spacers. So that's our metals. I'm gonna stick them with these guys because I think actually, no, let's get these together and then we'll do the spacers and bead caps separately. So we should have room for all of them. I like to sort beads, if you haven't noticed. So I'm sorting them and then we'll put them in the organizer. Let's open up the strand. Like I said, this wasn't part of the actual kit, but it was curated to go with it, to just add to it, give you a little bit more. So this same color of crystal that we had with these bicones, we have with these drops from the strand. So I'm going to put these guys over here with them. And then we've got these melon beads in like a dark chocolatey brown. I'm going to stick these guys over here with these brown beads. We have a couple of sparkly pave beads, and these are polymer clay with these sparkly crystals pressed into them. They're fairly lightweight, but they have such a big impact. Put them over here with these guys. And a couple of 3 of these larger rondelles in a kind of a champagne-y color. Opal champagne. And 2 crystal coin beads in this shiny, like dark bronze color. That is the same color as these 2 larger rondelles. Let's stick these guys over here. I've got like my dark browns, and I've got some lighter browns over here. We've got a couple of bead frames. And these are just these frames that have a hole at the top and bottom that we can put some wire through, and then have a little bead in here. I believe we had, was it these beads in there? Nope. It was these guys on the strand with some spacers. But you could substitute them with any of these other beads that fit. Let's see. Nope, that one doesn't fit. I'm just playing around right now. That one does fit. How about these guys? Do they fit? Yep, they fit. That's pretty fun, actually. So we've got the bead frames, which we're going to put over here with those beads. And then some larger disc spacers. Some light gold bead caps. And some star spacers. Oh, more like daisy, but you know. All right, let's get these guys into my organizer. Let's get our purple guys in one of these sections. There we go. I mean, I guess I could have put them in there if I needed the room, but I don't think I'm going to need the room. I'll put our yellow and ambery guys in there. Our darker purples, or our darker browns up here. And our lighter, sparklier browns in here. Get these guys over here. And then my metal beads, whoop, which one of them is just making a break for it. I'll pick that up in just a little bit. Get those in there, get my bead frames in here. And I think I'm gonna actually separate out my spacers from my bead caps now. Since I've got enough space, I don't need to group them together. It's gonna make it a little easier for me to find them when I go to designing things. So we've got our bead caps in one and our spacers in another. All right, and that is the Wild Mushroom kit from Softflex. Like I said, it is they do a kit every month, but it is not a bead subscription. So you would need to purchase it separately. But I think I'm going to continue. What I've been doing this month is designing on the fly with each of my beads. And I'm feeling like using these bamboo beads for this design on here. And I think I want to do myself maybe, do I want to do it like this? do a little ladder with some beads in between them. I think that might actually work for me. So what if we did this with these beads? Or what if we did lengthwise like this? I think I can achieve better length if we do it like this. Yep. I'm gonna do a little bracelet. Just gonna do a bracelet with these guys. These warm orangey colors. And I think it's going to be enough of these for the whole length. Alright, but now I need to get some smaller beads to put in between on these. We're going to do some crisscrossing with our thing. So let me grab some. We've got a lot of gold tones in here. So let's grab just some 11O seed beads for this. This is Golden Fleece. And I think that's going to be a good color for us to use on these seed beads. There we go. Now, I'm going to do a loop at one end and crimp it with my wire. And then start doing this thing, and then we're going to do, we'll attach clasps to it. There we go. There we go. I've got my clasp. Just going to do a real quick bracelet on here. I could, instead of these, I've got these bright copper spacers that I could use instead. Why don't I do that? Actually, I think I like the bright copper idea a little bit better. Let me clean up my 11O seed beads. This is my little seed bead pro tip. Use the lid to scoop them into the tube. It's super convenient for getting them put away. All right, now I'm going to use these instead of since I've got copper findings for everything else, I'm going to go ahead and just use these bright copper spacers. They're just little ball spacers. But that's going to give me just that warmer tone that we get with that. All right, so for this, I'm going to want it to be long enough to fit around my wrist. And I give myself a couple of extra inches for, what is it called? Crimping. So I want it to fit around my wrist, not twice, but 3 times when I measure this out, because it's not just going straight across when we're doing it, it's going to be going in and out and weaving in and out. So doing it 3 times is going to give me that slack to be able to do that. So that's just, 3 strands. I bent it, but not bent it, just kind of folded it over a little bit. And that's going to give me enough of the beading wire to be able to get this on here. All right. Once again, I do love this Imperial Topaz color. I'm going to find the middle of my wire by putting these 2 ends together and get this guy, my clasp, right down there at the end. And I'm going to put both ends of this beading wire through one of my crimps, because I'm going to crimp this initially right here just to get my clasp on. Pull this down almost to the end. I'd like there to still be a little bit of movement with this clasp so that I have some dexterity. And now let me get the tools that I'm using. I have my flush cutter that I've already used just now. Let me grab my crimper. My favorite way of crimping is a magical crimper. It does take a little bit of practice to do, and you have to make sure that you get a good one. I have used magical crimpers that were not manufactured right, and when I did, no matter what I did, it would not make the little ball, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in just a minute. But with these ones that do work, it's something that once you've got it, you've got it. What I want to do is make sure that I have the crimp right there in that concavity centered. Give it a little smush. That's going to smush down just the corners of my crimp. Turn it at a 90-degree angle. Make sure you stay centered on this. And then I'm just going to turn it and hit it from different angles and open it, turn it, and then smush. Open it, turn it, and smush. And once it does that, it smooths that out and you've got a nice little ball of crimp, which is very secure. I'm just doing a little tug test on here for you so you can see. And it's really great. And I like this wire because it is very strong and also flexible. All right, so starting at one end, and I kind of messed up my little layout a little bit, but that's okay. I remember how it goes. It's not complicated. All right, I'm gonna take one of, let's do a spacer actually. I'll pop this spacer in there and then put these triangle cut check glass beads on next. And let's just scooch back so that I don't accidentally go off screen anymore. So I've got that with both strands of my wire going through in the same direction. Now I'm going to separate my strands out, and I'm going to put a single, actually a spacer, and then a bamboo bead on each strand. So there we go on strand 1, there we go on strand 2, and then another spacer on each strand. So you've got spacer, bamboo bead, spacer on each strand like that. And I'm going to go through this next check glass triangle bead, triangle cut, with both strands, but it going in opposite directions so they crisscross. There you go. And when we do that, it's going to make a little triangle right there. It's going to be one end of my little bracelet. And now I'm going to put on a spacer, bamboo spacer on each strand. And this is pretty easy once you have it going. And then go through this check glass bead in opposite directions with each strand. Like that. And I'm just going to keep doing this until it is the length that I want, or close to it anyway. So I'm just going to keep adding these on here. And we can talk about some other stuff. I missed the official unboxing. They usually have an official unboxing on the Softflex channel. I have had a very busy day today, having to deal with a lot of stuff. some emergency stuff, so I am just sitting down now to get this unboxed. I usually do this ahead of time and then schedule it to go right after the unboxing. But today was a little bit hectic this week actually was a little bit hectic for me. And so I am getting to it now, which is great. It's fine, but I did miss the official unboxing, so I have no idea what Sarah made during her unboxing. She usually does some pretty cool things, sometimes things that I never would have even thought of. So I'll go watch it. I'll do a replay after I'm done with this. But I wanted to get this. I wanted to get myself in here and have a play before I go watch everybody else's videos. A lot of my other friends here on YouTube also post unboxings today. I'm looking forward to seeing what Kirk did with hers. I think that's going to look really cool. She does some really fun things. I've got some of our other friends who might have some. So I'm going to be probably watching those later tonight after my live with Cassandra. This is the fun bit. Oh boy. Love this. See how that's shaping up. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put some little spacers on there before I crisscrossed. So let's take these beads off, or that bead, and put on my spacers. And go through. Like, this would still work with those 11O seed beads, but I really like the warmth of the bright copper. It's like when you have that song from The Sound of Music, and it's like, what are your favorite things? And one of those is bright copper kettles. And so, like, I mean, obviously, bright copper is going to be a favorite thing for a lot of people, but I love that. Bright copper kettles. I do like these spacers being involved in that. And there are some of those gold spacers are great and will be great in other projects. But for this specific design, I do like just those small round spacers for this, which we did not get in this kit, but that's okay because we got other funner, bigger spacers. And you can always add things from your stash to your designs. You have permission to do that. And yeah, it adds a bit of brightness to this design when we do it with that. I think the gold would add a bit of brightness as well. But since we are heading into fall real soon, copper just always gives me fall vibes. And since that's the color of the other findings we're using, I am going with it. Okay. Now I've got just a little bit longer here to go with one more of these bamboo beads on each strand with those spacers on each side of the bamboo beads. And right here, because it's the end of this part where we're doing the crisscross, instead of going through this in opposite directions, I'm going to go through in the same direction, just like I did the first bead that I added. So we're going to go through in the same direction there. That's just going to pull both strands together into like a single unit. And I'm just going to check my size here on this bracelet, and it looks like that is going to be just about perfect for me to add a loop right there that this can connect to. So I'm going to be using a single spacer right here after that one bead. And then I'm going to put on a crimp on both strands. I'm going to choose a crimp that looks like it's got a decent sized hole. That might not be too big because this is the part where having 3 strands of the wire might be a bit much for the this crimp, but it might just be just enough. So I've got 2 strands going this way. I'm going to take one of them and bend it back and go through that wire. Okay, no, it fits. Perfect. All right. And make this loop. I'm going to make it a little bit larger of a loop than I did this one because it's what I'm going to be connecting my clasp to, and I want to make it a little bit easier for me to find it with my fingers. So that's about the right size, that loop right there. I'm going to leave this here until after I've crimped. But you notice I've got a little bit of space here between this last spacer bead and the crimp. I like to leave a tiny bit of space so that I can make sure that my crimp gets centered in my crimper without squishing that last bead or that last spacer. Just going around there. Let's get this snipped. And this extra wire, like that's enough for, you know, a single strand bracelet, or you can use that wire to do earrings or something with. So there we go. We have a bracelet. Let's see if it does fit. I usually like to do a little dangle. I am not attaching one to here, so let me use my little bracelet assist tool. I'll put a link to my video where I showed you how to make this, by the way, in the description below if you'd like to see how I made it. I just used some 18 gauge wire and some beads, and made myself a little tool for holding on to the loop on my bracelet while I fiddle around with my clasp. There we go. So yep, that is the perfect size for this bracelet, and that is it, and that's how it works. Here we go, another look at what I've got left after making an entire bracelet. I still have all these beads left. And there we go, Softflex Wild Mushroom Design Kit. Put a link in the description below. They may have some left, and if they don't, go ahead and check out some of the bead mixes that they have. I sorted that one, and they do have some more of these little teeny tiny ceramic mushrooms on that. So until next time, my friends, happy beading.